Hey guys, this is your boy Moderan.
This is BC.
This is Kid Joe, and
Yo, it's Vanderball.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Billy.
Hello, this is Jugo.
My name's Akashi, guys.
What's going on, you fam? If you didn't hear, you're listening to the Rising Rush podcast, the greatest hub for all Legends news, breakdowns, and discussion.
Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Glow. Appreciate having y'all here, and welcome to the first episode of the podcast for Legends Fest. Appreciate y'all for being here, and let's get into it. You're listening to the Rising Rush podcast. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Glow. I'm joined here by Desla. Say what's up.
What's up?
And we got two special guests today for part one of Legends Festival. We have Raiyuden and Goresh. Say hello to the audience.
Hello to the audience.
What's up?
I don't know if I meant that fully literally, but whatever. All right, so we're here. Part one of the Legends Fest has started, as you guys know and have seen. Legends Festival is probably the biggest celebration of the year, second to potentially only anniversary. Quite honestly surpasses it half the time. But yes, so far we've gotten Janemba and Gogeta for part one. I don't think anybody kind of predicted this. I mean, I've seen some folks predict Super Gogeta, but I think Janemba kind of came out of the left field for a lot of folks. As this is going on, as you guys know, we're going through the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball, one of the greatest series ever. So, yeah, that's going on. As Legend Festival is going on, we have new equips, new units. Also, we now have the Dragon Ball radar, which is back up as they usually do. There are some changes to it, however. You don't need to always scan your friends. Now it seems as if you can only scan your friends for some of them and actually go in-game and complete some of the missions. So as that's going on, talk to your friends, try and get more things done, the usual. But now, as we start off with Legends Fest, we're going to go through the new equipments that are going on. So first we have the new PvP equipment, Grit of Conviction. It's basically some extra strike attack, base health, and pure to both offenses for either Fusion Warrior or Regen. Raiyuden, what do you think about that equip so far?
The Exchange Shop Gold equip?
Yeah.
I think it's good. It's all right. I mean, what more could you ask for? Double base offense, max HP, and double pure offense is kind of the trifecta here. HP pool is important. It's probably one of the strongest scalable defensive measures, and you can't go wrong with more base and pure offenses. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Dustle, what about you? How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's pretty standard fare as far as usual PvP reset equips. Standard fare. I don't know. Very by the book. Something too crazy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. What about you, Goresh?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's up to par with a lot of the more recent PvP equips. They've done a good job with PvP equips, I would say, the past year and a half or so. They've been geared towards obviously the new characters, but this one in particular, I feel like it having basically no strict restrictions on it. It's good. I think you just auto include this on the new characters, and you can't really go wrong.
Yeah.
Thank God they didn't pad one of the slots with, hey, you want some base critical? You want 18% base critical in slot 1? You're like, no, I don't. Give me something better.
Key recovery, yeah.
Yeah. Thank God they stopped really doing equips like that. I remember there's that one Broly equip that has base critical on every single slot, and it's ridiculous. There's no point.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's the dumbest thing ever. But the other equip that came out is the Monster Descends. Basically 30% to both defenses, and then 32% in the last slot to either strike attack or blast attack, and the equips for sagas from the movies. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of equips like this, simply because I feel as if in this current meta with the game is, you kind of need HP on almost every single equip. And if you don't, you're going to need some extra HP Z abilities. Usually between similar to how what's their name? Fusing Super Vegeta or Gogeta Blue kind of had a Z ability that gave extra HP. I appreciate the big base stats, but for me, base stats aren't enough. I kind of need HP at least something, or at least a pure on it. But Dustin, what do you think about the equip right now?
I mean, nothing too wild, like you said, as far as just kind of missing those like fundamental like cures or HP slots, whatever. If you're lacking on options, I mean, especially if like you're a new player coming back for Fest or you're coming back for the first time in a while, then I guess go for it. But otherwise, you've been playing for a while, then you got more important equips to allot your resources to. So focus on those instead.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Raiyuden?
I'm not really up in arms with this one. The only thing I hate is when they do these unique equips that have alternate slots, sorry, choices on a slot. Because one, the reroll rates for these things are already terrible, but then you chasing, whether it's blast or strike, is even worse. This to me feels like one of those uniques they should have just gave for free, like they did with the Future Boost campaign. I feel like they should have just gave three of these, three of each, what, three strike and three blast oriented ones, because you're not breaking a bottom line here, and it's nothing overly crazy. It feels like a good secondary option if you don't have some of the awakened or some of the other equips set up.
Hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I'm actually surprised they kind of didn't do that for this celebration. I thought after they did the future one, giving out those 6 equips, I actually was expecting like kind of a repeat of it this time.
They have weird inconsistencies. Like they'll sometimes come up with a good idea and then they just stop. I think the best example is the roadmap they did for the Majin Buu Saga campaign. We were like, oh, this is great. I like this. Nice little breakdown. And then they stopped. And you're like, what the hell? Why'd you stop? Give
Yeah,
me give me the roadmap.
yeah, and they're just like, yeah, we're not gonna ever bring this back, basically.
Yeah, probably gonna do the same with these damn equips.
Yeah. What about you, Goresh? What do you think of the equip so far?
I think it's fine. It's going to be better if your characters are lower stars because base stats are going to help them a little bit more than pure stats are if you don't have a higher base stat to begin with.
Hmm.
When I initially read this, I thought it was both offenses in slot 3 instead of you having to choose. And I was like, oh, wow, this is actually really good. But yeah, unfortunately, there's only one of the two and you have to choose. But I mean, I understand how some people don't like where you have to choose between one of the stats, but I think it's fine because it makes the equip more flexible, especially
Hmm.
when it's the offensive stat that you can choose between. Because you have characters like Janemba who you want more strike on, and you have characters like Gogeta who wants more blast. So I think it's flexible that way. It's pretty easy to get. You just farm the event, and yeah, that's it. We have an Ultra Bonanza up right now, so it's not a bad equip to farm up a few versions of, but it's not one of those equips where I would say you must run this.
Yeah, it's like I agree with you. It's not like, a hard, oh, I need to run this thing. It's more so just oh, so it's a nice option you can have.
Yeah, big base stat equips with no like conditions on them, I think are good because it helps more players who don't have a ton of resources to reroll equips. Maybe they're low on energy, which means they can't farm Zenny, which means they can't really reroll a ton.
Hmm.
It's easy to get, it's accessible, it's not bad. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I get that perspective. Now moving on to the supporters, everybody's favorite new mechanic. Not really. We now have 2 new supporters. We have Fortune Teller Baba and King Yenma. For those who don't know, King Yenma's main gimmick is when an ally is defeated one time, an enemy has 2 or more sagas from the movies battle members, and they also have 2 or more enemy battle members remaining, and they have a character that is not sealed. You are able to temporarily seal one of your enemies for 15 timer counts. Um, as you know, supported Z ability at 10 at level 99. It's plus 10k to strike and blast attack. Correct me if I'm wrong. The alternate art just gives like a little animation to it, right? Or is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, chase an alternate if you want. That's for you.
it's it's basically like a holofoil like card in real life is what it is.
Can
Oh,
you
that.
imagine if they get made it give more stats? You know how insane that would be? It's like, oh, this gives 1,000 more max HP.
Oh,
Just
people would
something
riot.
a little extra dusting of buffs. Oh my god, the outrage would be insane and justified.
100%. I remember how bad it was when like Zenkai's first dropped. This would have been like 10 times worse. Like people were just chanting in the streets, "The end is near, the end is near," when Zenkai's dropped, and now it's like, We've survived worse. But yeah, Goresh, what do you think about King Yenma right now, and how do you think he's gonna pan out in the future?
I think he's definitely the better of the two new supporters. Ceiling is extremely powerful. Now it's only for a set number of counts. I think when a lot of people looked at this guy get revealed, they were like, "Wow, ceiling is insane." Because up until this point, ceiling has been a permanent effect, right?
Hmm.
Sealing is just the opponent is sealed; they can't come back. That's it until they have one character left, or you kill the character who sealed them.
Hmm.
But this one is only, I think it's at max level. I think it's up to 15 counts total. And you have to have a dead ally, and they have to have a movies team. So like, there's a lot of conditions on this to where I think it's probably not like super overpowered, but I do think it's going to be a pretty effective supporter because movies is shaping up to be a really good team, and obviously against movies this will be really effective. So I think it's going to be better than Baba. We'll talk about Baba in a little bit, but I definitely think this is the better of the two.
Yeah. Uh, I think the big thing about it is just, I can't remember the last time they went a year without buffing movies. They always kind of do movies either Annie or Fest. So I think something like this, just over time, is just going to be just valuable. My only fear with something like Yenma when it comes to sealing is um kind of just them having to balance around certain things like this. I hope it just in the future doesn't become something that they're just like, oh, this is now like more of a pain in the ass than anything else for all of us. But
I also do want to mention the animation is really good on this one.
yeah, I was surprised seeing it that like it puts you in his room and you just see
Yeah.
them fall through. I was like, oh, they actually took like time and effort with this one. This one's actually kind of dope. I think Baba's does similar. It like brings you to that what's the I think it like shows the spot too. I
Yeah,
forget.
Baba's is good, but it's dude, King Yema's is like
Yeah, it's way
it's
better.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Rye, what about you with Yunma? How do you feel about him?
No, I just similar sentiment to what Goresh said. It hasn't been too long since the guy came. I think I've dealt with him 2 or 3 times, like his effect actually procking and just playing a little bit more careful. The seal isn't too intimidating. My only concern is kind of the jump between what supporters are doing. That's where I get concerned. They told us before if it's going to be a powerful effect, it's going to be on a very specific scenario. And if it's something that can apply to a broader range, it'll be much weaker. But their definition of strong and weak doesn't always align with what is true in our experience. So my fear is that, we went from we stop a combo or we heal you to now we can steal characters and assist you per with a small chance on rising rushes. Where do we go from here? They're thinking of like really crazy ways to have these guys influence the match. I feel like they could be one or two small, irresponsible decisions away from making a supporter that's like, whoa, this is a bit too much.
Yeah, cause I get what you mean with like them not understanding what's strong and what's bad. Cause I had a situation where it was a 2v3. He had gotten an early kill on my Gogeta, and I forced it to be a 2v2. But because of Yenma procking, now it's like back to a 1v2. It like keeps you on the back foot the entire time. You
Yeah.
get punished for trying to even out the fight, which I get what you mean in the instance of the thing. What they think is strong and what's weak isn't always true because that's kind of strong to like just hold somebody back.
Yeah, and I haven't dealt with Baba yet, which is funny to me because we're all looking at that as, oh wow, that's probably the strongest effect, but they made it very niche. But it's just the fact that it exists, just the
Yeah,
fact that they thought this would be an appropriate supporter, that this is fitting, is where I get concerned because it gives us like a window into their headspace and how it could easily branch off to crazier things.
yeah. I had a 10% Baba cost me a game today, so I'm
Ten
already
percent.
I'm already not a fan.
Damn, damn.
It was right at the end too, so it literally cost me the entire match.
It
But yeah,
happens, man.
it's sickening. Desla, what do you think about King Yenma so far?
Kind of echoing the same sentiments that both the guys here have already said. I mean, I think, in my opinion, we're able to find that kind of happy balance for like on paper pretty cracked like abilities for supporters to have by making them be very niche scenarios per se. So I mean, I haven't had exposure to it because, as I mentioned before the recording, I got shafted really bad for Gogeta. I just did not play the game today, so I've had like no exposure to them in practice yet. But I have obviously seen showcases and footage and all that kind of stuff, and there are good effects, but it just requires you to lock in a little more and play a little more carefully, and you should be all right. So yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like we've been saying. I think it is a strong mechanic. I think hopefully they don't, up the ante from here. I think King Yenma is kind of like where they should keep like the top level of like the best things because if it gets bigger from here, I think we might have a bigger problem.
right.
Now we get to the old lady. I already hate her. Um, for those who don't know, Baba's whole thing is she can make you basically win the Rising Rush if you lose. At max level, it's a 20% chance, and if two or more enemy battle members are future, you get a 30% chance. So at max level, you get a 50% chance of just not losing the rush, which in and of itself is just ridiculous. Um, Mr. Luck himself, Goresh, how do you feel about Fortune Teller Baba? I know you are a very big fan of this one.
Yeah, so this is a classic example of like brain dead, terrible game design. And here's why. You have a Rising Rush, you use the Rising Rush, and your rush gets guessed. As the person who guessed your rush, if Baba activates, you're mad. As the person who used the rush, if you have Baba and your rush gets guessed and Baba does not activate, you are mad. So no matter what happens, somebody is mad. Okay? That is terrible design. When you have a coin flips, like a coin flip or a sub coin flip chance of something happening and it doesn't work, someone's going to be mad no matter what. So at the end of the day, no matter what happens, one of the two players is going to be upset. That is bad design.
Yeah,
That's what I think of Baba. But also, when we take a look at how Baba is designed, you have to have your rush get guessed. You have to have the enemy with future characters, and then you got to hit a coin flip. So I really don't think this is something that's going to be seen very often. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's not a very good supporter, especially when you compare it to something like King Yemma or even just Dende. I feel like Dende is going to be a much more impactful supporter than someone like Baba, just because it's going to happen way more frequently, and I think it's going to actually have a tangible effect on the outcome of the fights way more often.
yeah. I think what's it called? Baba is for all the real gamblers out there. That's what it's really for. All
Yeah.
those who get 50 coins and then blow them all on tickets. Not me.
Well, that's the correct way to do it, but yeah.
Yeah, true. But yeah, Desla, how do you feel so far about Baba?
Kind of just same way I felt about Yama, where again, very niche scenarios where it's going to even proc and really be all that useful. It's not going to be very consistent as far as actually being seen in play. And like Goresh mentioned, it literally is a coin flip, and it will just piss off both sides no matter what happens. So it's just all in all kind of a failure of a supporter, to be honest with you. But I don't know. It is what it is. Hopefully the part two support is a little better, but only time will tell.
Yeah, I kind of wish they instead had it for a scenario that it either starts off like, oh, it'll guess your rush early on guaranteed, but the longer the match goes, the less chance you get. Or if it was like towards the end of the match, the closer you get to that, the higher the chance gets. At least something that like is more predictable. You can't really predict the internal mechanisms of their coin flip.
I think something they
Right.
could have done is, this might be a little too strong, but instead of it being a percent chance for the Rising Rush that got guessed to be overridden, is what if they made it so that whenever you use, for the first time you use a Rising Rush in a fight, it removes randomly one of the choices your opponent has.
Hmm.
So your opponent, instead of having a blast, strike, blue card, or green card to choose from, it randomly just removes one of those choices from their selection.
So it gets like
That
a,
I think that would have been better than what they have.
because that would have just, I feel like that would have also given them a small situation where like they can't even guess the rush.
Yeah, but you don't. But you, as the person who's rushing, you wouldn't be able to tell which one got removed because it would be random.
I get that. I get that. I mean, that does add a bit more RNG to it, but I think it's definitely more fair than this just random
Yeah.
coin toss on you win or you lose. But yeah, Rye, how do you feel about Baba right now?
funny enough, I don't have enough experience to even comment on it. So far, I haven't been able to leverage it, nor has my opponent. It has not affected any of my matches yet. Maybe that's just a testament to how useful it is and how very specific the effects are. I don't know. It seems like a crazy idea. Again, like I said earlier, it gives us a window to where their headspace is for future supporters, and the fact that they're willing to tamper with Rising Rush chances and guesses and stuff already screams crazy to me, regardless of how specific and niche the scenario is. But so far it hasn't really bothered me. But who knows? Maybe future iterations of something similar could be very painful. Who knows? They'll probably look at this and be like, "Huh, the usage rate of this supporter is literally less than 1%. Let's make a stronger version of it."
rather than just update it. Because
Yeah,
I
buff it
mean,
like Metal Cooler.
yeah,
Yeah, Zenkai the supporter.
yeah, I'm surprised they buffed Metal Cooler, honestly, because I thought like, okay, they're never doing stuff like this again. But something
Dude,
like
that should be another topic after. It's like, how do they decide who's getting a unique and who's getting a buff?
it doesn't, it makes no sense. Like, what is their criteria for it? Because like Metal Cooler should have happened like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
I think Metal Cooler is a exceptional circumstance. He was just so bad. Like they had to do something.
There's no way Super Vegeta was so good that they're like, yeah, leave him alone.
Exactly,
I,
like Super
I,
Vegeta happened.
I think Metal Cooler is the worst LF ever released.
Oh man, are Vegeta clan mains just coping that hard? They're like, we got nothing else. His
It,
usage rate is high because we got nothing else.
is he the worst? I don't think I can.
I, I think he's the worst, and I don't think it's close because he actively helps you lose. Because he forces the match to go to timer, and then he just takes so much damage over the course of the match that you can't win. So it's horrible.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. The only thing I could think that could come close is like maybe like Yellow Bardock on release, but like that's it.
Yellow Super Saiyan 4 Goku is pretty bad too.
Yeah, but that also
Dude,
had like the whole Mexican App Store glitch nonsense on
Oxo
that
saved
too.
So
him.
yeah.
The
He
Oxo
got
stuff.
third party Zenkai, that guy.
But even with him, boo, people were running him at 14 stars and he still
Sucks.
sucks.
Yeah.
That whole stuff was crazy. It's been ages since. But yeah, like as the audience, you can tell supporters were kind of Baba's a little wonky, but Yenma, I think we all think he's good. A little strong, but we'll see how he pans out in the future and how future supports pan out, especially with part two and part three going to have some. On to the next part. Now we have the first summonable unit we're going to talk about, Super Saiyan Gotenks, from his fight with a certain general. I'm not going to say it. We're not trying to get canceled. But Gotenks' whole special gimmick is, you know, he does damage up, kind of debuffs the enemies, gives your team support. But his main thing is his blue card and ultimates. Anytime he's hit by the enemy, he can enhance them for additional effects, and for every time he uses a strike and blast card, he can up his chance of everybody's favorite ability, paralysis. So he can actually stack up to 10 times, each one with a 10%, so you can get 100% guaranteed paralysis. So you could basically, keep doing your strike and blast cards the entire time and green cards, save up for like a blue card or an ult, and you just need to get guaranteed paralysis. Uh, there's not really nothing special about him other than that. Rai, what do you think about Gotenks so far?
I think he's okay, but I think okay is sort of being a little bit generous for him. I wasn't particularly wowed by anything that he did. Okay, he's got some support and okay, he's got a second life, but his whole selling point was supposed to be the disrupt, and I kind of understood what they're going for. I think they went with the third card because they're trying to make it align with their battle system changes and how once you reach around that card usage point is when you may get affected by the card draw reduction and the key recovery and whatnot. But I don't know. I faced a couple of them, didn't felt wowed, had him on my team, didn't felt like he did anything. I don't know. He he just came off as like, okay, I gotta go tanks. He's kind of a nothing burger to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of that new battle system change, I didn't realize how much it was different because now it feels like my sub counts and everything goes down. The stops going down around like 40 count, 40 40 hits.
Yeah, they
Com-
increased the severity of it not too long ago.
yeah, because before it was around I think 70 that it would just stop like giving you key cards and sub counts down, but like 40 feels kind of high. I can't lie to you.
It is their own fault. You know why they did it? It's because they released a bunch of characters that on hit or card use will lower sub count. Characters have -1 sub count by default, or they force draw a bunch of cards with key. They released an Ultra that did it. They released the Kaioken Goku who does it, and it's like, dude, stop! They're shooting themselves in the foot over and over again. And Goresh, you made a good video on this where you said they can't keep changing the battle system to band-aid patch their own poor design decisions with the characters, because the characters that aren't guilty of poor design are caught in the crossfire and they just become worse.
Yeah. And it's like I feel like a character that definitely suffers from that a little bit with this new thing is Janimba, but we'll get to Janimba later next. But Dessa, how you feel about Gotenks so far?
I definitely think the community is kind of like, overblowing it. I've been seeing some posts about like him being like the worst 1% we've ever gotten this year, and I'm just like, guys, no, it's not him.
He's not
Uh,
worse than Frost.
yeah, that's the guy I was going to as far as my pick there. But I don't know. He's just okay. I don't know. Like again, he's gonna be that character that I get, or I have been seeing plenty of, where I get pissed every time I see him when I was doing my Gogeta summons, and I'm just like, dude, whether it was Bardock or like the Trunks animation, where like I'm like, okay, maybe this is finally it, redemption. Here we go. I just got flashback to Six Annie, where I kept getting Shin instead of using Super Vegito, and I'm just like, guys, please stop.
Oh
Like
god.
I just wanted to end, but no, he's all right. Nothing too crazy. I mean, he's serviceable, I guess, if you're missing like a core third for movies. But besides that, whatever.
Yeah. I get what you mean. It's like he's like him having endurance is kind of nice. Like he's a nice third you can run if you don't have 13 and you got like Gogeta and Janimba, because he also gives like 25% support, just outright. Um, he doesn't give damage guard, does he? Okay, no, he doesn't. Thank God. I thought we were about to deal with another Krillin, but nah, he's all right. Like you said, nice solid third if you don't have any other option. Gresh, what do you think about Gotenks?
They tried to do something new with him with the take 3 hits and then he does his disrupt. I think they should have just made it 2 if they were going to do that. I don't know why they went the extra card and made it 3, because there's a huge difference between 2 and 3 hits. I just, I don't know. Something else they could have done too is they could have given him disrupt initially and then still kept that one. Or another thing they could have done is they could have just made him kind of like have incremental disrupt, where the first hit he disrupts, second hit he disrupts a little bit more, and then third hit he has like really good disrupt. I think just putting all your eggs into the basket of him getting hit 3 times every single time is just not enough. It takes way too long. You got to actually take the hits, and you just compare it to something like the Triple Ultra team with the Namek Ultras and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, which is switching, disrupt, switching, disrupt, switching, disrupt. So like you can't compare a character that has to get hit 3 times to have his disrupt go off versus these meta teams that are just constantly cycling through their cover changes every 2 seconds, and they're all disrupting immediately. So I just don't feel like the design really works for Gotenks. The paralysis thing, I don't really like his design choice either, just because I don't like paralysis. His damage is mediocre. He's got endurance, which is nice. He doesn't have buff removal, and then he's supporting, which is also good. But end of the day, I would say he's one of the weaker 1% Sparkings we've seen this year.
Yeah, he's definitely on the weaker side for all the ones we've seen this year. Definitely, I agree. But
Like you take a look at like the part 1 anniversary 1% Sparkings, Kaba, and then Kale and Caulifla. It's not close at all. Gotenks is way below them.
Yeah, he's not like Frost level, or I mean, would you say King Cold is better than this Gotenks?
I mean, they serve different purposes. King Cold is more of like a support slash damage character. I think I would lean towards King Cold being a little better. Um, the problem with Gotenks, I think, is they might have dumbed him down a little bit because he's on both banners, so it's much easier to pull him. So maybe
Yeah.
they took that into consideration when they designed him. Maybe they're like, people are probably going to have him high stars. Let's make him a little worse.
Yeah, I can get that definitely. I don't know why they've done that. That's not the first time they've done it either. They've kind of like weakened units just because they're like, oh, we expect them to be pretty common or more people to summon on this one, so there's gonna be more of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing we could talk about later, but the fact that there's only 1% sparking is a pretty big, I think, blemish on part one.
Yeah, so definitely. Now on to the first of the new Legends Limited. We have Legends Limited Yellow Super Janemba, melee type with endurance and double defense Z abilities. Why? I have no idea. But his Z ability ends up being one of the newer things they've been kind of trying to try out with those 14-star Z abilities. His secondary effect, other than his double defense, is 18% to base strike attack for movies, and then 10% to regenerations strike damage. And if I recall, that's more like not a pure, but it's more similar to the damage from Dragon Fist. I left Dragon Fist for those who know. He kind of has something similar on his Z abilities, 3% to Sun Fam. So technically more. If I recall from when folks were calculating, I know that 3% on Dragon Fist calculated somewhere to like 20% extra base strike attack. So this is probably closer to like maybe 30, 40 strike damage, if I'm correct on the calculations.
And it's a
But
14-star only ability as well.
yeah, 14-star only. So you're really not going to see that unless you wail hard on him.
Yeah, like Raiden.
Yeah.
Yeah, me. Me.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Super Janemba's main gimmick is he wants to revolve around his unique gauge. First time he comes in and uses unique gauge, you're gonna get card, key, damage, card draw speed, and your cover null. Second time, you're going to instead get Vanish Gauge 80%, one time only, but it resets every single time you come in. Crit rate, 80% damage to your next hit. So it's whatever card you use to pop the gauge is going to get 80% damage buff. And type neutral for 2 counts. Uncancelable, but it's 2 counts. And as you're comboing, you're going to keep debuffing the opponent the whole time. He also has the cancel buff effects when the enemy uses special moves, ult and awakening arts or rising rush, while also healing the team and giving -5 sub counts. I know, Goresh, you mentioned this as well, but it seems like they kind of threw their philosophy out the window and shot it in the back because it seems like they're just slapping this on every single unit they really can.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I'll let you go first, Goresh, and tell us what you think so far about Super Janemba.
Yeah, I actually like him. I think he's not a character that is like you just enter the battlefield and you could be blindfolded and do well with him. I would actually kind of say that Super Gogeta is more so along the lines of that sort of design, where you enter the battlefield, you press cards, you tag out, you press more cards. Like Janemba takes a little bit more thought and understanding of how his kit works. I actually didn't fully understand how his kit worked, even jumping into a showcase, and I didn't even realize I didn't understand it until I was about halfway through. And I'm like, why is he getting cover null here? Why is he not type neutral here? But the way his gauge works is it resets when he swaps out. So it's the first time the gauge fills up per entry is when he gets those buffs, and then the second set of buffs is when he fills up the gauge for the second time per entry. So the reset count resets every time he swaps. So I didn't actually realize that. And I think that actually adds a lot more to the character because it makes you want to strategize more with him. It makes you want to stay on the battlefield longer with him. And I think it just changes up the play style of the character as opposed to using Super Gogeta, for example, or Red Zamasu or 13. Like every character has different ways to play them. I think Janemba has a very unique play style to him, and I think that's what they were going for, and I think they succeeded at it. But I think he's a good unit, good defensive character as well. They gave him a lot of tools, but again, he's not really a character where you just go enter the battlefield and then I'm just going to essentially just roll my face on my phone and he's going to do well. You have to kind of think about how you want to use him.
Yeah, I kind of agree too, because they definitely took time to make him unique. For example, the crit stuff in his kit, he only gets it when they cover change, and it's for 5 counts, and then he only gets the crit rate when he pops the second gauge. His disruption, I think, in theory, is cool. I just wish it would have had like, you know, maybe some card destruction, but you do get the like enemy key -35 and like to destroy the special move and special arts card. So I'm not too mad at it. Just wish it would have been a bit more. Um, there is actually a thing we were talking about before we started recording was that Janemba feels like he peaks a lot higher than Gogeta because of the scenarios of how his gauge works. For example, you can have a situation where you have post 60 counts because if you don't know, on his ult he gets 4 Dragon Balls. He gets up to 4 Dragon Balls. He gets 2 Dragon Balls. Um, so say you get a situation where you just rushed and you get maybe what I'd say like what is it 8 Dragon Balls. Say you get like 4 Dragon Balls already. You vanish, ult to pop the first gauge, you get your vanish back. Ult the second time, get your vanish back because of the second gauge. And now you've just done a rush, maybe a few cards, 2 ults, and a second rush just within probably in the span of like maybe 10 counts.
You get 4 Dragon Balls. It's really crazy.
Yeah, 4 Dragon Balls within that is just nuts. And twice you get your vanish back. And that's like, I don't think any other, I think that's probably like the highest peak scenario of like maybe any character in the game with like in simple like 10 counts. Potentially 2 rushes, 2 ults, and you get your vanish back twice. But yeah, Rai, what do you think about Janemba so far?
Similar sentiment to what Goresh said. He's definitely someone that takes a little more thinking, especially because you want to time everything to the second fill of the unique gauge. That very small window is when you get the peak of his power, and you want to make sure that the card that depletes the gauge is your heavy hitting move. So reserve a blue or an ultimate for that moment. And I really like some of the aspects of how he plays. Like if you know that the next card that you press will give you that vanish restoration, you can make some awesome plays where your opponent will not know you got your vanish back because it's not just you that now has to pay attention to how many times you filled the unique gauge. Your opponent does as well. And I mean, between keeping track of what you're doing, what your unique gauge fills look like, he indirectly gives extra pressure to the opponent, which is nice on your end. He's got some nice sustainability too. But I think my favorite thing has to be just doing like you get your vanish back into a combo and then you deliberately do a drop combo when the gauge has filled again. And then you have an ultimate in your hand or a blue card in your hand and you just wipe the floor with anybody. Janemba, when he peaks, it comfortably one shots anybody. I've had blue cards comfortably destroy Fusion Zamasu. Just unreal amounts of damage. Like you said, he peaks out pretty hard. He takes a little bit more thought when it comes to utilizing him. Peaking him out is not just you spamming a bunch of cards. He takes just a little bit more thought, and he's cool for that. I like what he does.
Yeah, I agree. Because when you were talking about the whole drop combo situation, odds are after you drop combo, you're going to have a few of his damage debuffs because they're on activation, they're not on hit.
Mhm.
And you're also gonna have like the activation of like -80 key on their blue card. So if you drop combo blue card, they're gonna be heavily debuffed. They're gonna automatically lose 80 key, and if they get hit, and you have the second gauge proc, you're getting an additional 80% damage and being type neutral. So like, yeah, I can see how it just nukes folks. I don't know if you saw Dugoat's clip he posted on Twitter. Um, he posted a clip of just one shotting a Zamasu with Janemba. Just drop combo blue from near full health.
I
Yeah.
one shot a Bojack, the red Zenkai Bojack, pretty much with mine.
Yeah, it's like it throws you off because like you don't realize that like 80% is kind of a lot until you see how much damage it really does.
Yeah, those. But what I like is that if you're somebody that is willing to take a risk on a play,
Mhm.
and if it works in your favor, you are heavily rewarded for that. But the character also is set up such that if it doesn't just set up for you, like for example, you pop main, you do a drop combo, your opponent doesn't sidestep, instead he pops a card, so you'll vanish. Now you're trying to time their sidestep, and let's say you time it wrong, you can pop the ultimate will grant you vanish again. So you're given another opportunity to do this again. So he's one of those characters where if you take a risk, it'll reward you. But if it doesn't go your way the first time, there is a second opportunity for it. That's why he's cool to me. That he gives you two shots at getting a pretty hard hitting move in. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine. You can just try to repeat it with blues, since your opponent just has to do a cover change and he gets another one. So it's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah, definitely. The only thing in this kit I'm not like the biggest fan of is having to use his blue card and green card once to get 60% damage in total. That part I just think that's weird. But that's just me.
No, I get that too. Having some like prerequisite steps to getting his full damage, kind of like MUI. You got to use a couple cards, and for Vegeta, you got Evo Vegeta. You got to wait till 90 timer counts to fill the stupid evolve gauge. Yeah, it is a little bit weird, but I think they did it because if they just let you peak out like that immediately, then it may be too high. So they wanted to stash away some of it behind these things, so you weren't just one shotting everybody. I don't know. Maybe that's why they held back on it a bit.
Yeah, probably. And Tesla, how do you feel about Super Janemba?
Uh, I would probably say that it's kind of weird to really label him. Like, part of me wants to say he's a skill check unit, but the other part of me is kind of like leaning more towards him having a bit of wonky design as far as his gauge in terms of how it works. Like, it's weird, I guess, in terms of how I would prefer to play, and like, I appreciate, I guess, a different approach in terms of how they went about it, but for me, I mean, it's just a night and day difference between him and Gogeta. Where I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at Gogeta being simple because the main appeal of him is that it's a mechanic being brought back for the first time in like a year and a half. So like, you know, we'll be all right as far as I'm doing anything too crazy. But like Janemba, just he's a little weird. I guess I'll need to kind of wait to have a better assessment of him like over the course of time here while this fest is going on. But for right now, for day one impressions, he's weird, but he's good. I guess is the basic consensus I would come to. But yeah, that's probably what I would say.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of folks aren't really gonna be too keen on him initially because there's not really any other character you can really compare that has like such a, I'll say, intricate play style. Everyone else has kind of been more straightforward in how they play, given how like we've seen past tendencies of character designs. There's really no one else to compare Janemba to. But now for the man of the hour, Goku and Vegeta, aka fusing Super Gogeta, brand new unit, first synchro gauge in basically almost over a year now. Last ones were fusing Gogeta Blue and fusing Super Vegito. I won't lie to you, I'm not a fan of their initial art. I actually thought it was a fan edit because I was at work, so I kind of missed part of the you know reveals and everything. I don't know if it's just me, but Vegeta's head on it just looks so weird to me. Do y'all feel the same, or am I just like crazy?
Now you're valid.
I just want to make sure. But
It
yeah,
does look a little weird. Yeah, it's hunched over a little bit.
yeah. But Gogeta's art, the hidden art, I think that's probably like the best art in the game, at least for me.
Yeah, I know it looks really good.
Yeah. But going to through Goku and Vegeta's kits, like Desla said before, they're pretty simple. You want to ramp up doing a bunch of cards. Blue cards and green cards can just give you your switch gauge and your unique gauge. Um, the unique gauge is pretty much similar to what Pycon's was. You fill it up, you get damage, health, and health restore for you and your team. But it's definitely a lot easier to get compared to at least PyCon. And then once you fuse, Gogeta's pretty much a straightforward character. Do a bunch of cards, get a bunch of damage, nullify endurance, have come into battle with, uncancelable cover null. You have your endurance, you have your defensive type neutral. Your green card can basically lock them in, and you get your own type neutral there. And once again, they're bringing back that effect of when on the battlefield, enemy use any big moves, special moves, alts, awaken arts or rushes, -5, and remove their buff effects by 2. But his unique gauge does change post fusion. When full, it gives damage, special move damage, and lowers all the arts cards. But when the enemy attack ends, after they pop the gauge and they'll end up resetting, you get ally health key, sub counts -2, and you'll end up reducing the enemy key by 40. Rai, how do you feel about Super Gogeta?
I feel like he's, your very simple unga bunga, tag switch cards, tag switch cards. There are some small nitpicks I have with this kit. I think a good example of this is the Dragon Ball destruction on tag switching. This is a character that wants you to tag switch to earn your fusion. You're never not going to tag switch. So the Dragon Ball destruction being tied to that kind of stinks because if you have the upper hand, you're kind of just wasting that. Dragon Ball Destruction just tossed out the window. And then number two, I think this is well, actually, this could be a separate discussion, but I guess my only other criticism of the character would be us not getting sort of like a new mechanic tied to it. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward, synchro gauge, very strong, simplistic combo character. I don't know. There's not a lot of depth to what Gogeta does. You just tag switch and you beat the guy up. Then you fuse and you beat him up some more.
Yeah, there's not really much to him. The only real thing to him, just to keep note of, is his endurance. His cover null is only what is it, 5 counts on entry and
Yeah.
on transformation, but it is uncancelable. So if if a corrupt merge Zamasu's not in, you can just freely transform and rush. And so many people are still not used to it, and they'll just throw him in. But do be careful, because if you're not type neutral, you're going to take a lot of damage from his final counter. I've had that thing just nuke my Gogeta, and I'm not even realizing that the cancel buff effects for at least a defensive type neutral, that's not uncancelable. So, Goresh, how do you feel about Gogeta?
Yeah, I think he's like the opposite of Janemba in a good way. Like you have one character with Janemba that I think requires a bit more testing, understanding how he works, more practice. But then you have Gogeta, who's pretty straightforward. He's just a powerful character. You go in, you F cover null, you press cards, you tag switch, you press more cards, you fuse. And that's it. I mean, the character's pretty easy to use. And I think that's by design, right? They think that most people are going to summon for him. I think a lot of the newer players are coming back to the game, not so much for Janemba, but for Gogeta, and that's why they made him this way. But I think he's good. Yeah, I think he has the tools that he needs right now to compete with the best characters, especially against someone like Ultra Fusion Zamasu. You can rush him from standby because he has the uncancelable cover null. He gets, I think it's a 2-second lock in. Not really a lock in. It's two sub counts up for the opponent when he uses a green. He gets type neutral.
Yep.
So yeah, overall, just a really, really good character. Not really too intricate in what he's doing. He just has a lot of very strong abilities, and he just beats people up.
Yeah, like I said, pretty straightforward. It did throw me off like using him again because I keep thinking his blue card was like Pycons and it was like a long range, and I
Yeah,
caught
yeah,
myself
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Yeah. Dessa, how you feel about Gogeta?
Um, I would probably say that I'd be like I don't know, as far as just I guess like a nitpick or whatever, but I think I preferred if like Janemba and Gogeta like swapped colors, personally speaking, because I think that Gogeta would just do a lot more if he were yellow, and then Janemba would be able to pair up a lot better on like PO comps to kind of like be best buddies with like Red MZ to kind of cover him from any like potential blues. Which I'd be shocked if we're not going to get more blues for part two, if I had to speculate. But that's just a nitpick there. But as far as like his kit per se, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Like you all have already been saying, it's you attack switch, you fuse, you beat the guy up. It's pretty, representative of the 30 seconds of screen time that he had in the movie. So there you go. But yeah, I mean he's very comfortably a top tier unit for sure right now as far as how things are shaping up. But I don't know, very straightforward, very good, and I would not be surprised if he's able to ride things out to the end of the celebration and still be in a good spot. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think color wise, yeah, I think it would have done them a lot better if they had just, swapped colors. Or at least maybe given Vegeta at least a reverse screen just for a little bit, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Um and then finally for the last thing we're gonna talk about for at least part one, we're supposedly supposed to get Namek Goku, the original First Ultra, his platinum equipment, no Zenkai for some reason. But what do you guys think about to expect at least from his unique his platinum equipment? Because he's the second free to play to get one now. The first being Omega. People were pretty impressed with Omega when he first got his. Rye, what do you think?
This thing is gonna have to be the best equip in the game by a long shot. I'm talking like 280% damage, 200% damage guard. Like this thing will have to be Zenkai squared in an equip for anyone to want to consider this Namek Goku. But this is something we talked about offline. If they nail this, then this is great. Kind of like when Shallot got his plat equip, we were all 100% on board and welcoming the idea of this free character being really good and people can comfortably put him on their teams. If this guy can get a really good power up from the plat equip, then that's great. No one's going to complain. I just find it weird, why did they decide to do it now? How does this guy fit the bill at all? It's kind of like the free to play Jaren. Is it just because of this summon animation that may or may not exist because they haven't gotten it yet? I don't know.
Yeah,
Why they decided to do it now?
One thing to remember about this guy is he has a weird ultra ability.
Yeah.
It doesn't benefit from leader slot stuff. So
yeah, it like just checks the whole team.
yeah, well, it's he has two parts to it. The first part is 15%. I'm looking at it right now. 15% damage inflicted per Saiyan battle member. So if you're not running a full Saiyan team of 3 Saiyan characters like on the battlefield or in your party, you're not getting the full effects of that, even if he's in the leader slot. And then the second part is 15% to damage inflicted per Saiyan support member. So neither of those are affected by the leader slot. So that's a lot of that's like most of his damage. That is 90% damage coming from his ultra ability. But you got to have a full Saiyan team, and if you don't, then you're not getting the full buff. So that's one area that I kind of hope they kind of just retroactively change. Like that's not something they could really change with this equip. I don't think they would have to probably just change the character, which I hope they do, but I don't see it.
Yeah, they because I know that effect is only for the free to plays right now too. They didn't change it with Omega. I
Yeah.
highly doubt they change it with Goku. It would be nice if they did, but you know, odds feel low.
They lost their inspiration. After they did Omega, they're like, ah, forget it. We don't want to come up with creative ideas to do these. Just make it 30%. It's
Yeah,
just like the Legends Limited abilities. They were talking about how, oh, we've been talking about this for years. They're just saying, "Oh, we want to make Legends Limited characters have these unique abilities, just so we can add an extra layer to strategizing your teams." And they're just mini Zenkai buffs.
yeah, they're just small stat buffs and that's it.
Yep.
Like I thought they would have been more creative. Like, oh, and I think they had mentioned something like that when they first talked about them. Like they would have certain buffs or debuffs against certain types of characters, but then I
Yep.
think they just scrapped it.
They swept it under the table. They were hoping everybody just forgot about it.
Yeah, so really wish they honestly did like a lot more with it. But overall, gentlemen, at least let's start with you, Goresh. How do you feel about this part one as a whole?
Yeah, it's not the worst. It's not the best. I'd say it's kind of just in the middle here. I would say it's definitely better than last year's part one, for sure. It is definitely better than 2022 part one with the tag fours because that was all we got.
Mhm.
I would say it's comparable to 2023, right? We had the transforming Beast Gohan and the Blue Kaioken Goku Evolution Blue Vegeta. I'd say it's close. It's close to that one. Probably would give the slight edge to 2023 just because our expectations I think were a little bit lower back then. We've had 2 years since then, so we've had more mechanics come out. The game has evolved, but it's close. It's close. So I'd say this is a pretty solid part one, but it's not to the level where we could look at it with like the 6th anniversary part one and be like they nailed it, home run, grand slam. Like it's not that level, but I would say it's solid. It's a solid part one.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's a solid part one. Another thing someone pointed out to me was that this is the first major celebration since the OG DBS Broly where we've had like a headliner be a villain. Every other headliner since then has been just heroes, heroes, heroes. The last one was like probably year three, where we had CMZ and Broly for Annie and Fest, like part ones. We haven't
Well,
had.
we had Rose last year, remember?
Oh yeah, we did. My fault. My fault. Correct.
But
Yeah,
other
Correct.
what
than
you
that,
meant to
yeah,
say is not a Saiyan.
Okay, a non-Saiyan. Let me correct myself.
Yeah.
A non-Saiyan villain.
yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah, this is the first time in a while we've had it. Right. What? How do you feel about part one as a whole? Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it just bleh?
I think it's all right. I mean, they didn't do enough to get people jumping out of their seats and just, screaming to the heavens saying they did it. Nothing will come close to 6th anniversary part one. But it's not like they disappointed everybody. Everybody wanted Synchro Gauge Gogeta. He was the talk of the town when the mechanic came. So on that front, they got some things right. I am, I like the fact that they're being more flexible with the character choices. Like you said, Chinemba being part of the headlining of part one, not just being a hero character, I think is a good sign. I welcome villains being part of, opening up these major celebrations. Um, but yeah, no Zenkai announcement for an LF is weird. I found the plat equip choice for the Namegoku a bit bizarre if they're trying to follow a theme. I don't know why Jiren is the free to play outside of the summon animation. I feel like some things they got right, some things were a little bit disappointing, and some things were just confusing. I don't know. Some things are just it's kind of bizarre, so it kind of just averages out to just it's an all right part one, but that's usually the problem, right?
Yeah.
Part
Like
one sets the tone. If you don't have a home run in part one, doesn't that ruin what part two and part three will be?
I
yeah.
think I think it's Janemba that really is to blame for it, people not looking at this and ranking this a bit higher than it should be, like higher than people are ranking it because I think it is a good part one, but it's Janemba, dude. It is. I personally still don't feel like Janemba is really worthy of being a part one of a major celebration like this. I don't have anything against the character. I don't have anything against people who like Janemba. It's just you look at the excitement that certain characters bring to the table, and I just don't see Janemba being on the level of Vegito Blue, fusing Super Vegito, fusing Gogeta Blue, UI Goku. Like he's not there. He's not. So to start out the celebration with a Janemba here, I get it. If it's the theme, it's the villain who fought Gogeta, but I think we had some better picks here. And if you're gonna do a character like Janemba, I think they should have given him some brand new ability, brand new mechanic, innovative kit aspect or something. Because I do like his design. I think they kind of are forcing you to play him a bit differently than you would for most other characters. But there's just something missing with Janemba, and I think that's what's kind of bringing this part one down in a lot of people's eyes.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't I don't think it's necessarily Janemba that's the issue. I just think as the years go on and players have just been around for that much longer, their expectations kind of just grow. I think it's just the fact that there wasn't much new. They gave them both these time type unique gauges. I think people were just expecting something unique to them versus a unique gauge skin. That's what it is ultimately. I don't think it's the pick. It's just, ah, another unique gauge guy. Okay. You know?
Yeah, because pick wise, I kind of get what Goresh means. Like, obviously, there's more hype as a total. But when you look at like thematically, if you want to do a heroes versus villains thing, I mean, Janemba is just the definition of hype moments and aura. That's it. Like, there's no deeper thing. He looks cool. There's very few villains in this series you can really trust to like be paired with a major like hero for a part one. Like the only ones you could really think of is like Namek, Goku, and Frieza, um, Janemba and Super Gogeta, Zamasu and Vegito, um,
Broly
Broly, and
and
like
Rose.
and Rose. Like there's very few out of like the countless villains. Dare I say, I don't even think a Cell could be a part one villain.
What about Jiren? What do you think about him? The
Uh,
answer is no. The answer is
no.
no. I'll just
The
I'll just
answer is
answer
no.
for you.
If Super had just dropped, yes. Otherwise, no.
It's
Yeah.
on them to make the character like it's on them to ensure that if the character's excitement as a pick is not enough, then how they behave is going to have to carry weight. That's on them to do. And
Yeah.
that's where I think they let people down. Janemba should have been more unique. He should have had some extra flair, just something to make people go, "Oh, whoa, Gogeta is cool because it's Gogeta, but Janemba, he's not far behind because he does this. He has the sword for a limited time. He has the dimension countering. He has something cool about him. But no, it's
Yes.
just this time unique gauge.
Yeah, the same way they did with like Namek, Goku, and Frieza. They knew more people were gonna summon on Namek, Goku, but Frieza just having the Death Beam, and everyone just wanted to play it. That's what Frieza's whole main mechanic was, and I think they really could have done more with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dessa, what do you think about part one as a whole so far?
Uh, I kind of echo the sentiment of a lot of people have been seeing kind of just like on socials where just it feels like a monthly celebration pretty much. Like I will always stand by the sentiment that this game peaked with 21 Fest and it has never gotten to that point even remotely close ever since then. And it's a shame because like I still enjoy the game, but I mean you're really gonna try and compare like that level of excitement I had for that reveal, like to anything afterward, and especially this, it's like not really, man.
Yeah,
Gonna be honest with you.
you have folks crying to like 2021 Fest reactions. They know
Oh,
who they
dog. I
are.
mean, to be fair, like that reveal was long as hell, but like you're never gonna forget the magic of just like literally just the raw footage being shown like as a fade in, and like you just seeing them like tag switching in and out, where like you're losing your mind. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Overall, unfortunately, I think this means that we're probably not getting Forku because they're going to go with a safe bet, and that'll probably be either a Tag Ultra or I don't want it to happen because I hate fighting UIs, but probably an Ultra MUI if I had to assume. Because
Hell no.
yeah, I hope I'm wrong.
Hell no.
I hope I'm wrong. I'm right there with you, man. Trust me. I
No,
hate
There's
fighting as
you
much as the
you
next guy.
gotta be wrong. Hell
there's only
no.
I
two
hope I
heavy
am.
hitters left. It's MUI or Forku. Pick your poison.
Yeah, give me
Yeah.
Or
Forku.
Broly, Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Broly's not gonna do this by himself, man. They've
Oh
clearly
my.
shown they hate the character by not dropping a premium LF for him in like 5 years. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
It's because they want to
it's
make that
not gonna happen.
anniversary, man. They want to make that the double ultra at the end. Super Saiyan Gogeta
Definitely.
and Super Saiyan Broly.
We haven't
Yeah,
gotten a
you're right.
universally good Broly since like the OG
Blue.
DBS, the blue DBS
Oh, this
Yeah.
one.
game deadass like hates Broly, man. It like despises him. I don't know
Every,
like what dev loathes him, but like they just got a hidden agenda, bro. It's
well,
so tragic.
it's like it's
Ultra
just
MUI, man. You know what scares me with you saying that is someone pointed out that before anniversary, the icon changed to Namek Goku, and they're like, "Oh, is this a
Mm-hmm.
clue for the Ultra?" And we did get Ultra
Yeah.
Namek Goku. The icon now is MUI. If it's Ultra MUI, I don't care. I'm leader slotting Frieza on every team from now on. It does not matter. what team it is. Is it the DB Saga, Androids? I don't care. I'm just for the Death Beam. I don't care. I hate MUI.
I don't blame you. Don't blame you at all. Like, we know damn well that he's not going to abide by the design philosophy. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
They're just
It's
gonna
not
take
happening.
they're gonna take Ultra UI and transforming MUI and just weave in both of the awful mechanics together. Get that lock in, get that easy ultimate, but this one has anti endurance and oh, you don't have Ultra CMZ. Guess what? You die. You
Yeah.
just die.
Yeah.
Like the whole
I
thing is
mean,
just nobody. I can't think of one person that likes fighting a UI character in this game.
yeah, no. It's super unfun. But I mean, we all know who the real Part 3 Ultra is, right?
Spirit
Jiren.
bomb. Did you
Yeah.
say Jiren?
Yeah, that's right.
Did he just say Jiren?
Yes, he
I did.
did. He did. He
Dude, they
said,
made him
I
too
mean,
free to
I mean,
play.
guys, guys, like he's in the new summon animation. He's gonna be there
"Yeah, okay."
That's all he's gonna be
for
though.
sure. Nah,
He's a free character
guys,
and a summon
guys,
animation. He's
lock
never
it
getting
in,
an ultra.
lock it in, bro. For sure, Part 3 definitely happening.
Yeah,
No
okay.
Nah,
way. Can you imagine? Ultra
Yeah.
Jiren.
But yeah, that
first,
perfectly segues into our next part. What do you guys think is coming for part two and part three, and potentially an after party? You can start off, Rye.
All right,
What you think's coming?
I think part two is gonna be Boo Saga. I already no bias, no bias. I'm saying this
mm-hmm.
because they spent a long time buffing Boo Saga and then they just dropped off, just immediately stopped. And then throughout the entire year, we saw the recap. They literally buffed every single tag but one. And it's Boo Saga. We got movies, we got Future, we got GT, we got Fusion Warriors, we got Frieza Saga, we got LOE, Saiyan Saga, we even got Girls with Kefla's release. We literally got every tag but Boo Saga. So I would say part two could probably be just a Boo Saga centric theme part two. It would be appropriate to remake Spirit Bomb ever since Namagoku got remade. And number two, Buhan. Like any form of Boo, there's virtually no representation. And if we look back at first year, every single one of those characters as part of the anniversary has a Zankai already, except for the green Buhan. Maybe they're
Mm.
saving it for the part two. They've shown that they're willing to stick to one specific theme for a part. If this part one was like Daima and movies, then I would say okay, part two is probably not Boo Saga. But because they stuck to just movies specifically, that gives more evidence that part two could be Boo Saga. And then for part three, I think it's probably Super Saiyan 4 Goku. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's gonna be MUI, given that we got a transforming one for anniversary, and I I know they love spamming out Gokus, but I think they'd want to hold back on just spamming out all the MUIs that they could do. And the Ultra one is kind of like the last one they got in the bank, so they'll probably wait a bit before they do that. And then for the after party, I think it's Daima. I just think when you look at what's left, the mini Super Saiyan 3 stand out the most. Goma, maybe if they decide to make him like CMZ size versus him just being colossal size. The Tamagamis. I just think that's more of an after party theme thing. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's cool, but it's not festival worthy. So that's what I think. Part two, Boo Saga. Part three, GT Super Saiyan 4 Goku Ultra, and then after parties Daima.
Yeah, you actually, when you were talking about Boo Saga for part two, I noticed like for anniversary they basically did like one saga per part. Universe Survival Saga, then Saiyan Saga, and then ending it off with Namek Saga. Them starting off part one with double movies had me thinking there's a chance that like part two is also gonna be, one singular theme. Same thing with part three, and then the after party will be a callback to one of those themes. I kind of do agree with the Boo Saga part for part two. If it's either Spirit Bomb versus Buhan, or I think it's gonna be a double mini from Daima. A mini SS3 Vegeta and a mini SS4 Goku, and then they'll possibly just do Goma as like an after party thing. And then for me, for the Ultra, depends on whatever part two is. If part two is Daima, then I think it's going to be Ultra MUI. If part two is Buu Saga, I think the Ultra is Forku. I don't think. I think there's a high chance, in my opinion, it's still going to be Daima because they still want to kind of capitalize off of Daima right now. And they kind of sometimes line things up with the way Dokkan's doing stuff and Dokkan's getting Daima stuff. So I don't think it's too far fetched to think Daima's going to come. But Goresh, what do you think's coming for part two and so on and so forth?
Yeah, it looks like they're all in with like the themes being one with these parts. So like Gogeta Janemba, we had the Saiyan Saga stuff for part 2 of Anniversary. Part 1 was Universe Rep stuff. So it looks like they're not really super into like both of the releases being from separate themes. So I am leaning more towards Daima for part 2. I think it will be the mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. But honestly, the fact that they gave us Janemba for part 1, it could be anything, bro. It really could be. And then we got Saiyan Saga for part 2 of the anniversary. It really could just be anything. Like it could be something completely out of left field. It could be like Hit versus Kaioken Goku from the
Yeah,
Universe 6 for 7 tournament or something.
I saw some folks like
I
pitching that too.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. That's my favorite fight from Super actually, is Hit versus Goku from that tournament. But we've reached a point now with the game where I think they're a bit more liberal with what they decide to give us for these major celebrations. I mean, dude, I would if you would have said to me, I think part 1 is going to be Gogeta and Janemba like 2 weeks ago, I would have said no way Janemba coming out for part 1. There's no way. So I don't know, but I would lean towards Daima. Yeah.
Yeah. Dussel, what do you think's coming for the next parts?
Uh, I mean, it's a toss up. I would probably say that more likely than not, it's probably gonna be Daima if I have to assume for part 2, just because like in some capacity, I mean, I'm leaning more towards it being likely that we get mini Forku in some capacity, whether it be for part 2 or after party, we'll see. Um, and then for part 3, I'm gonna go with either the Tag Gods from Broly or again, he who shall not be named. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, with this kind of lackluster part 1, I don't see Forku coming out. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, Forku is again very cool, and I mean, again, full disclosure, I'm very biased. He is probably like my favorite iteration of the character as far as form wise, all that kind of stuff. Just can't be it for me. Um,
Yeah.
I still don't think they are confident enough to have him like solo a part 3, especially with a part 1 that's just not really getting that many, butts and chairs to go ahead and re-download Legends and get on the world. It's like, Gogeta's great and all that, but that's about it. And of the fusions we have in game that are Goku and Vegeta variants, I think it's not really a super hot take to say that Super Gogeta is like the least hype of those variants per se, just because of the
Yeah, you're right.
barren lack of screen time he has. I mean, again, it's quite literally a minute, so you can only do so much. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll probably be that, but we'll see what they do. Like Gresh said, it could literally be damn near anything for part 2, and then part 3 only really so many picks they can go with.
Yeah. I feel like they definitely, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they almost regressed with the animations since the last synchros. Because I feel like Gogeta's animations aren't really that crazy.
No,
Well, I mean,
you're
dude,
right.
the man did 2 kicks in the Soul Punisher. These guys had to get inspired. Like Vegito had great source material. They straight up ripped it from Kakarot, and Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta's a movie. This
That
poor guy had 2 seconds.
that's true, but we've also seen like not just Legends devs, but also Dokkan devs sometimes pull things from like some things the video games do or things that like Heroes does. Like Super Vegito, his LF, the OG one, like that's from like Heroes, if I recall. So like
With
they
the
yeah, with the whole
Yeah,
like
it
big
is.
sword
Yeah,
slamming
yeah.
it down. That's from Dragon Ball Heroes.
Well, I
Yep.
mean, they kind of did. I mean, Dokkan did, Gogeta Final Flash and the Soul Punisher like light column. They Legends did that too.
which was
I think hold on, Goresh, correct me if I'm wrong. You'd be more knowledgeable about super divers than anyone here, I think. Like his actual LF is derived from divers, right? I'm pretty sure I saw like clips of it, and like it looks similar to that. I could
The
be
new
tripping.
one.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It might have taken inspiration from it because it's the same devs. Dimps does both games.
Yeah. I could totally be having like a, I don't even know what, like Mandela effect moment where I'm like remembering seeing a clip of like the game somewhere. It's like, yeah, it looks similar to that, but again, I could be tripping. I don't know.
yeah. But that's all for us so far. Once again, Raiyuden, Goresh, I appreciate having you gentlemen here. I appreciate you guys taking your time out here and, coming out to just talk about Legends, hopefully.
Hopefully, that's exactly what we did. What do you mean?
Well, let's just hope. Let's just hope they can. What I mean
Bro,
is,
had to
let's
fuck it
hope.
up at the end, bro.
All right, chill on me, chill on me, chill on me.
What
What
did
I
we
mean,
talk about for the last 2 hours? What happened?
nah. What I mean is,
I
I
know I
hope.
stayed up all night, but damn.
It was all,
I had
it was all a dream, man.
I had a brain fart. I had a brain fart. What I meant to say was, I thank you guys for coming here, and I hope that we can continue this Legends Fest on a positive note. Because
I got
we
you.
we've had instances where like things start off great, and something comes out of left field and just kills the hype and momentum, and then we're banking on a toxic ultra to fix it all. But
That's the
yeah,
Legends way.
yeah. But once again, appreciate you guys being here. That's all for we have for now. For like we said before at the beginning of the show, it is the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball, and if you actually hop on their website, they're actually doing like a little voting now for the number one characters and the favorite characters for everybody. They said only the top 80 are gonna go through. A little funny thing I did notice is that Bulma's dad, the little cat on his shoulder, is right ahead of Kid Buu in the polls right now.
Hell yeah.
What about Dolphin? Where is he?
I think I don't even know where he's at. I just saw people like
35.
35. That is
Dude,
Nice.
Dolphin is ahead of Great Saiyaman, which I found funny. Nobody likes Great Saiyaman.
What about Huge
Crazy.
Wrestler? Where's Huge Wrestler?
Oh my god, that whole poll stuff is just nonsense.
Dude, Bacterian is ahead of Dabra.
Let's
You're
go.
lying. Oh my god. Yeah,
Bacterian is 53.
That's
Dabra's
awesome.
59.
yeah, they're just voting for anything now.
Blind Boy healed by Boo is 51.
there's
What?
Blind boy.
Characters who don't even
God,
have names.
That's
on there.
ridiculous.
Turtle 80. Skeleton Soldier. That's just fodder in the background. Skeleton
about-
Soldier?
Why
What
is
about
Mermaid?
Man who gives energy to the Genki Dama.
Like these things are just high for
They
no
were
reason.
really strapped for getting some candidates, man. Holy moly.
They have Mermaid.
Damn.
They have Mermaid over Chi Chi, 16, Trunks, and
I'm not
Shenron.
surprised.
You're
Yeah.
telling me PyCon didn't make this list?
Definitely not. Hell no.
Isn't
Well,
that crazy?
he's not in the manga.
Yeah, I think they pick manga characters.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought this was just all of Dragon Ball popularity poll, not manga
Oh,
exclusive.
nah,
Well,
yeah,
'cause
nah. If
Gogeta's
it was,
not
then
even-
Vegeta would have been on there.
Yeah, Gogeta's not even on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's why only Vegito's there, and he's like fourth right now.
No Gogeta, no Broly.
But yeah. Anyways, appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate all the listeners. Check out the episode like we hear. If you're here now on YouTube, there's also Spotify. If you're on Spotify, there's also YouTube. Once again, catch y'all later. It's going to be easy. We'll see ya.
Peace.
See ya.